Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Scott Dixon. We warmly welcome Group Captain Mac Cottrell, DFC, representing Air Force Association, and Wing Commander Michael Garside, Australian War Memorial Air Force Fellow. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, flowers of the forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flying Officer David Beharrie. David Beharrie was born on the 15th of December 1916 in South Yarra, Victoria, to Martin and Agnes Beharrie. The family was a large one, and growing up he had 4 brothers, Malcolm, Daniel, John and Martin, and 4 sisters, May, Jean, Agnes and Sadie. David attended Glen Huntly State School, Dalesford Higher Elementary School and Melbourne Technical College. He appears to have wished to serve in the military from an early age, writing to the newspapers for advice on how to do so. When he was around 18 years old, he enlisted in the Royal Australian Navy and served as an able seaman for 7 years. On the 22nd of May 1942, Beharrie transferred to the Royal Australian Air Force at the age of 25. He trained as a pilot and in April that year received his flying badge. Beharrie embarked for overseas service from Sydney on the 25th of May 1943, arriving in the United Kingdom in July. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,000 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who joined Australian and British squadrons in Britain throughout the course of the war. Further training followed in England. By July, he had experience flying de Havilland Tiger Moths, Ansons, Oxfords, Wellingtons, Stirlings and Lancasters, and was posted to number 467 Squadron, RAAF. As part of Bomber Command, the squadron flew the 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. On the night of the 18th of July, number 467 Squadron was part of a major raid on the railway junction at Revigny, France. Beharrie was the pilot of Lancaster, Papa Oscar TAC Charlie. Whilst the target was all but destroyed, the Luftwaffe's defences were strong, and no fewer than 24 of the 110 bombers failed to return to base. Number 467 Squadron committed 8 aircraft to the attack and lost 2. At around 2:50 a.m, the starboard engine at Beharrie's Lancaster was hit by a night fighter near Brabant-Leroy, 2 kilometres north of the target. Beharrie ordered all to evacuate, but only 3 escaped before an explosion sent the aircraft plunging into a field near Bellefontaine Farm. Flying Officer Beharrie and Flight Sergeants Keith Schott and Frank Rogers were killed immediately. Sergeant Eric Brownhall lived for 2 days in a German hospital before succumbing to his wounds. British Sergeants John Brown and William Johnson managed to parachute out before the explosion, and Australian Flight Sergeant Frederick White was thrown clear and landed safely. With the help of French locals, all 3 evaded capture and made it safely back to the United Kingdom. After the war, the remains of Commonwealth servicemen buried in Europe were examined and identified where possible. Beharrie's remains were identified, and he was reinterred there under the inscription, "He gave all." He was 27 years old. David Beharrie was dearly missed by his family back in Australia, who placed memoriam notices in the newspapers after his death. One inserted by his sister Sadie read, "Though the ocean divides us and we are many miles apart, you are always in my memories and forever in my heart." Flying Officer David Beharrie's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. In the group portrait displayed beside the pool of reflection, David Beharrie can be seen in the back row, 3rd from left. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flying Officer David Beharrie, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the ears condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID, and we wish you all a very pleasant evening.